I just want to say that I will be your guide tonight to a journey that I've been through for the last 3 or 4 years. So I will be traveling the same journey tonight with you, and so that's the journey. The journey you're going to see. You're going to see the fine example of East-West cultural exchange, the courage and then resilience of artists that really inspire engineers like us, and the humanity that really transcends the border, not just the regional border between countries, but also between disciplines. And that's the journey you're going to see, and I'm going to do my best to make it enjoyable as well, not just like a college lecture. Okay. And this is about music, so I chose the sonata form. And so you're going to have an introduction, exposition, development, recap, and Q&A. I've tried to follow this schedule, so I'm going to go through the introduction first. About the introduction, I'm a tech. I run the tech company, and we do several businesses. One of the businesses we do is live streaming. But as you know, the live streaming, you can do a lot of sports live streaming. That's where we generate most of the income. I love sports. I played rugby, by the way. But my heart is always with performing arts. And so I was always thinking about is there an opportunity for me to try the live streaming technologies that we developed for sports event into a theater. But those opportunities never came until one day I was invited to live stream opera performance and ballet, not in America, but in Taiwan. So I immediately jump on it. This is the Taiwan's National Opera House. It's a beautiful opera house. And I was just starting live streaming of experience, opportunity in the theater and the National Opera House. Who would refuse? And my guys, my engineering team, we were really busy trying to finish some job. I ignored them. I just flew to Taiwan. And they were like, where are you going? We are so busy. I said, I would explain to you later. So I was explaining to them from the airplane. But anyway, so I went to Taiwan. So I know where the venue was, but I want to know what am I going to live stream? So I found out that what they are going to perform is a great early 20th century Spanish composer. His name is Manuel de Falla in Taiwan. And so I was trying to understand what's going on. So they were performing 2 works. The first half is a ballet, El Amor Brujo, a Bewitching Love. And then the second half is the La Vida Breve. By the way, El Amor Brujo was never performed in any country in Asia. So this was an Asia premiere. So I was this is my first experience. Is that okay? So, but anyway, they allow me to do that. Now, the La Vida Breve, the first opera performed in Asia was in 1958 in Japan, but it's rarely performed. And so I was really excited about this. And then, so I wanted to understand a little bit more about who this composer is. I'm not going to spend too much time on this, but all I'm trying to, I think the most important thing is the Spanish people told me, Adriano is here, but I was told he's more than just a musician. He is considered a saint in Spain because he stood up for the people during the Francoist Spain. He actually protested Franco went to Argentina, and then he actually died in Argentina in 1946. But the irony is Franco was really in love with his music. So he actually asked him to come back to Spain, but he ignored Franco. And then in 1947, after he died, after a year after he died, Franco actually sent a naval ship from Spain to Argentina to collect his remains and bring back to Spain to where he was born, a beautiful city called Cadiz, in Andalusia, the southern part of Spain. And these are my photos. I took these photos after all this journey was over. I went to Cadiz to pay respect to Falla and then thank him for the opportunity that you're about to hear. that I learned so much from this. So I went there. You can see where he's resting, and Cadiz is a beautiful seaport and one of the oldest cities in Europe. So that's Cadiz. 1947, his remains was moved to where he was born. Taiwan. 20 years later, in 1967, there is a music student in Taiwan who were going through Chiang Kai-shek, the Taiwanese version of Franco. He was also a dictator. So his name is Dao, and Dao was the producer of that opera that I was about to live stream. And Dao basically was fascinated by Faya's life. So he wrote his undergraduate bachelor degree thesis was about Manuel de Falla, his life, his music, and then there were a lot of people who were trying to be unique, like Japanese music, and how to enter the classical music. So he was thinking about Taiwan and how to enter the classical music. So Falla was his idol, 20 years after what I just showed you. And then he wrote this thesis, which was so well written, so it became a book, and this book is still sold in Taiwan's bookstores today, in Mandarin Chinese. And then the Spanish government was so surprised, and then gave him the scholarship to go to Spain, Madrid, to get his master's degree. And the school is Royal Conservatory of Music of Madrid, where Falla also studied. And then he went to see the Falla's grave, just like what I did. And I was told that he made a promise to Falla in 1968 that someday in Taiwan, I'm going to produce your masterpiece, La Vida Breve and El Amor Brujo. And he went back to Taiwan in 1970 when people don't know what opera was. He started this opera company called Taipei Opera Company, which premiered over 40 operas in Taiwan. But he started with, like La Bohème or Carmen, more popular, the more mainstream ones. But after 50 years in 2020, he thought the Taiwanese people are ready for a more exotic opera. So he tried to fulfill the promise 50 years ago that he made to Falla in front of his grave to perform these two works. And his contribution received the highest honor in Taiwan, the National Medal Award for Art and Culture. And so I just want to make a connection of Taiwan and Spain and why this opera was performed in Taiwan. And then this opera and the ballet in the National Opera House in Taiwan was so special because I have seen many opera performances in our opera company in Philadelphia. Usually we do renting, the costume and everything. But Dao has a different vision. He basically wants to make this as a community event. So all the costume, everything was made in Taiwan. This is all Taiwanese team. I'm the only one who was foreigners. And then they actually sent the stage designer and also the costume designer to Andalusia and lived there for 2 months and to get the culture, and then went back to Taiwan and worked with the local street artisans to develop the costumes for opera. So it's not just an opera, it's a community event. And it's also, people also know Dao, he's a famous guy. So people know this is the 50th years since 1970, he established this opera. So it's the 50th, half a century anniversary concert to celebrate. So it's a big event. And I think the tickets were sold out, and we were all ready to go. Okay, but then the tragedy hit. The tragedy was sudden surge of COVID. Taiwan was well known that they contained very well, but for some reason that week, the COVID number increased. And I entered Taiwan about a week ago. I told everybody I was not the one bringing in. Okay, don't blame on me, but they just jumped, right? And then 3 days before the performance, the Taiwanese government said that orchestra, you are not allowed to perform in orchestra pit because the distance is too close. And then and I saw all the performers are really sad, their face, but they are not sad because they cannot perform. They are sad because they could not honor Dao's 50th year, and all those, they laughed now. And those are the sad faces that I still remember. And then I look at everybody's face, but something clicked. I'm from Philly, right? And I remember this incident. In 1994, there was a big winter storm that hit Philadelphia, and then basically the maestro, Wolfgang Sawallisch, the music director at that time, he basically said, I'm going to just play the orchestra part to accompany the opera singers. Somehow it hit me. So I explained this to Taiwanese friend, and I said, this is called Winter Storm Concert, the famous one among the classical music lovers. And I said, you have all the stage, you have everything ready. I mean, you're going to cancel this? This is, what a waste, because the only things you don't have is orchestra. But you have the stage, you have the costume, you have everything ready to go. Why don't you do what Wolfgang Sawallisch did? Just use the piano instead of the orchestra. And so that's when, so Philadelphia became the starting point to change the fate of these artists. And there were two artists I was particularly impressed: the dancer and the rehearsal pianist. As you know, you cannot have orchestra rehearsing with you all the time, so they have a piano rehearsal. But she was really good. She actually studied at Stuttgart, Germany, and she received the Gold Award there. And I think she could be a concert soloist, but in Taiwan, you cannot get a job right away, so she's doing this kind of job. And then Shen Shen, who is a teacher at flamenco dance class or schools in Taiwan, discovered by Dao. So they are really humble people. They were trying to make everyday living people, but I could tell these two people are special, and I didn't want them to go unnoticed. So I really wanted to help them find a way to get the performance out. Of course, everybody was skeptical, and this guy coming from Philadelphia, he has never live streamed in the theater. He's gonna do this, and also the dancers were particularly concerned because they were like, how can we dance without the audience? Because flamenco, it's a little bit like jazz. If you see the audience, when they see the audience response, they will improvise. So they need the audience feedback. So anyway, long story short, everybody eventually came together, and then I still remember. I still, how do you call it? Goosebumps. When I think about when everybody decided to take my advice and then go for it, I was really happy. And then, but the reality is this: 3 days ago, like I said, the Taiwanese government said no orchestra, and I made this suggestion, and within 24 hours, they made a decision to do this. Just perform. They had to have a press conference. It was big news in Taiwan. I know this was a big event at the National Taiwan Opera House. They said, we're going to cancel the performance. We're going to give you all the tickets back. The refund process was really painful for them. But we are going to live stream this with piano only, which was itself became a news. And so I encouraged them. But to be honest, I was the person who was the most nervous one. I didn't tell everybody. I was really nervous because foreigners was also not allowed to enter the opera house. How am I going to do this? So I have to come up with the engineer. I have to work with the engineers in the US and also in Japan to come up with a solution. So everything is preset, and you just have to give it to the Taiwan, the Taipei Opera Company people who doesn't know very much about audio. The AV stuff, but everything's set up. All you have to do is switch on, and I tell them how to connect, just like this picture here. And then I was basically remote controlling from the hotel room. I was hoping, I hope it will work. There's nothing I could do because I was in the hotel. And then this became something we call simple live stream as a service. It became the product for my company, which helped me earn extra, which helped our company to have new customers. So I think these engineers worked with me to make this happen. They were determined not to let these artists down. They know the story, they know what's going on. within I think 48 hours, we came up with this solution. And these engineers, so you think engineers are boring, right? The engineers have heart as well. So they work really hard to make this solution possible. So there you have it. The Philadelphia's Winter Storms concert in Taiwan, the Taiwanese version of that. You have a piano, one grand piano, and then in the orchestra stage, and then Dao is the conductor. He's conducting the piano, and then you can see the pianist here. Quanting is here, and I remember when I was seeing this. I mean, there was a sound that Dao says, "I want you to play that sound. This is from the timpani." Quanting was like, "I only have 10 fingers," because she's looking at the whole orchestra scores and try to do this, and then somehow she did it. It's amazing, and then. Of course, Shen, the principal dancer, she danced beautifully despite of no audience in front of them. And then at the end, to make a long story short, it was a huge success. We have more than 50,000 people watching this live stream, and especially from Spain, the power of social network. They were like, "What? In Taiwan? I thought they were just good at pineapples, you know? They are performing our fire," and then they also heard the story about this was supposed to be canceled, but everybody decided to come together to do this. So they were really moved by the story. And I have to say, you know, when you are watching the live stream, people can actually type comment in real time. There was one lady, she said she lives in Madrid, but she's from southern part of Spain, Andalusia, and then she said, "This looks just like my hometown." In Taiwan, you know, so this is I think this is still probably the best compliment the stage director and the costume designer could have received, and I think so with that, I want to show you a little bit of this piano-based performance that was actually live streamed. But before that, I want to quickly tell you what this story is, so you can follow it. So the ballet is called El Amor Brujo. So basically, a Romani widow, her husband died, but her husband will continue to harass her, prevent her from having a new boyfriend. And then the village will try to do exorcism, but they failed. But who do you think came to rescue to help them? Right, that's the story. So this is Shen. She's performing with a red dress as the widow. This is the ghost. Yeah, and then her best friend in green clothes. She confessed to the widow that the reason your husband died is because my husband killed him because I was having an affair with your husband. So and then she confessed that, and then in Spain, probably they will perform this in a little bit more interesting way, but in Taiwan, Dao's vision was make this as forgiveness, friendship between two girls, and became really beautiful music by fire. I mean, beautiful music. And then this is the village performing the ritual to get the ghost out, but they couldn't succeed. And then again, here, her best friend came to try to rescue, to make sure, she felt guilty, right? So she was trying to help her friend to have a new love by trying to seduce the ghost again. And then that's how they solved it. So this is how she basically was able to bring the ghost back and then send him to the heaven. And then the opera side, the La Vida Breve, is a Romani girl and then a young Spanish rich man. They're in love, and then he was telling her, "No, let's get married," but he was actually trying to marry somebody else. And that somebody else is a much wealthy woman, and then the Romani girl didn't know that, but when she found out, something big happens, right? And so here, this is the man and then the Romani girl, and then this is the wedding. In the wedding with the rich girl, in the wedding banquet, there are many beautiful Spanish music you can enjoy. And this is one of the part. And then the Romani girl found this out and it came in, and then the Spanish man basically asked her to get out, you know, that kind of opera. So with that, I'm going to start maybe just 3 or 4 minutes of experts, starting with El Amo Brujo. So the second section is exposition. That story was exciting enough for me, and I thought, the live stream that I did with Taiwan, over 50,000 people received international attention. Japan's Nikkei also had a special things about edition about this, and then also in the U.S., the Broadway people start talking to me. And so I get all this attention, and thanks to them, and I was like, okay, great. And I totally forgot about Taiwan. I thought everything had ended there, but little did I know that was only the beginning. The real drama was just about to unfold, which is this part I'm gonna explain to you. I was told, they contacted me, they said, Ren, the live stream that you did, the Taiwanese government was really happy because Taiwan's National Opera House has never received more than 50,000 viewers around the world. You really made Taiwan famous. Thank you very much. And then they wanted us to perform this opera again as the season opened, gala. And with, of course, Dao conducting, this time with a full orchestra, the Taiwan recovered from the COVID. And I said, congratulations. But they didn't say they're going to hire me again. So, but I was like, okay, all right, congratulations. But then I received another call. And then when I received that call, I thought they were going to hire me. But it was a different purpose. They said, you know, Dao, the conductor, fell ill. And then this is really sad because this is really his 50th anniversary of Taipei Opera, the things I told you before. They couldn't find a conductor that knows as much as he does about the Spanish music. He's really more Spanish than Taiwanese. And so, do you know some good conductor maybe in Philadelphia? And I said, and you know, the time I spent with them to fall together, the memory came back. And I feel like, okay, I want to help them again. So I just tried to find anyone that I knew. My daughter plays violin. Her teacher's husband is a cellist at the Philadelphia Orchestra. So I contacted Derek, and Derek says, that's an interesting story. I know maybe the music director of the Philadelphia Opera Company can help you. So I was introduced to Maestro Rovalis. Wonderful person, such a wonderful person. He listened to everything I said. And then before I said that, okay, I forgot to tell you something. I actually knew a company in New York who is an agent who has so many conductors. I talked to her and I said, well, I need a conductor for this and that. And then she said, oh, I have a perfect conductor for you. He's a famous Spanish conductor, world famous. And then a few days later, she called me back and says, we have to decline your offer. And I said, why is that? Is it because it's in Taiwan? She says, no. Maestro does not conduct Spanish music. Excuse me, I don't understand this. Because he doesn't want to be labeled as a Spanish conductor only conducting Spanish music. He wants to be, if this is a Bruckner, Beethoven, Mozart, he would love to fly to Taiwan, but not Spanish music. It's like 007, you know, if you perform 007, you look like James Bond all the time, no matter which movie you go to. So he didn't want to do that. So I couldn't resist saying, a sarcasm to them. I think the people in Taiwan love your music more than the maestro does. You should respect your own country's heritage, right? But at the same time, I understand that's the reality of the music industry. People have to do something unique to do these kind of things. So I explained all these things to Maestro Rovalis, and Maestro Rovalis said, Ren, I know a perfect guy for you. That's him. The young conductor in Spain, his name is Manuel Busto, and he only does conducting in Spain because he loves Spain. He loves Manuel de Falla. He's proud of Spanish music. He's a principal guest conductor of the Spanish National Ballet, and everybody in Spain knows him. But he's not just a conductor, he's also a composer. He composed music for National Spanish Ballet to perform, and he's also a poet. And I basically saw some of his YouTube, I sent it to Dao, and Dao knows Spanish music. He knew immediately he was good. So he said, we want to hire him. So suddenly I become an agent. So I contacted Manuel Busto, and then I told him, this. And then the live stream that I did a few months ago with a piano, he was actually watching it. He said, oh, so live stream helped over, time. So he said, so I explained everything to him. He says, Ren, let's worry about the details later. Let me just say yes right now first. So he said yes. I am so happy that far away in Taiwan, you are respecting our music. So I told Dao and Taipei Opera Company all agreed to hire him, right? But you know what happened? The first problem happens. Like Eric, we are running software project. We have problems all the time. Every time we have a project, we cannot predict them, right? So we can only live every day the best way we can. The first problem we had was the Taiwanese government said no. I said, why is that? who is Busto? Never heard of it. Is he Yannick Nézet-Séguin? Is he? No, they're like brand name. They're like, is he Dudamel? I said, no. He's not famous at all. I mean, he's not famous worldwide, but he is very famous in Spain. So it's like you like Gucci's bag, but sometimes you have a no-brand bag that is really as good as Gucci, but you cannot tell. You just but also okay. I'm not gonna get upset. I think that's the reality of the world. We have to respect that. So I talked to Busto, Maestro Busto. I honestly told him that because you're not famous, and what should we do? He said, I understand. So we decided to talk to his boss, the famous dancer and also the artistic director of the National Spanish Ballet. Basically, he wrote a letter, and then he also told the Taiwanese official that in Spain, nobody knows Spanish music more than Busto. The Taiwanese government said, okay, let's hire him. So that's how we got through, and then so that's his name is Olmo, Maestro Olmo. Okay, and then the next problem, we have another problem, just like software development. Yeah, we problem after another problem. The next problem is the opening season of the Opera House in Taiwan is also the same opening Opera House in Sevilla. The Maestro Busto was already signed the contract. And because he is so well regarded in Spain, so he's very popular, right? So I shouldn't be surprised. And then there are two contracts that he signed. One is with the Royal Symphony Orchestra of Sevilla. Another one is the Royal Opera House of Sevilla. He had two contracts. There's nothing he could do about it. And so I said, Maestro Busto, can I have a contact of these two people? So I talked to them, and I tried to be cute. I said, we have a lot of Taiwanese tourists coming to Sevilla these days, When the tourists come to Sevilla, would you like them to come to attend your opera and then symphony things? And if you're interested, I will be happy to have your symphonies, orchestra, and opera companies information as advertisement, free advertisement in the program, in this big event in Taiwan. I know it was a long shot, but the Spanish people are so nice. They said, Mr. Egawa, don't worry about it. We don't need the advertisement. You can have Maestro Busto. This is such, and they also watch the live stream. So they also knew that I didn't expect the live stream was going to be so effective. So they were moved by that as well. So they said, we never done this before, but we are willing to, how do you say? Tear up the contract so Maestro Busto can go to Taiwan. And I was so moved. And they also wrote letters to congratulate Taiwan. And I said, okay, I'm going to put your letters in the program. So this is a copy from the program. So everybody in Taiwan attending this opera could see that there are two great people from Spain supporting the performance to make this happen. I didn't say Maestro Busto gave me the telephone number to call them because they are Maestro Busto's customer. I don't want his customer to feel like Maestro Busto was doing this through me, right? So they never, but they was really nice people. This is what we call compassion, right? And then this Taiwanese performance became very famous in Japan as well, actually, in Spain, and then people know this is happening. We are getting all the attentions, and then with attention comes with a problem. The problem is some people, some company says, we have the copyright of the scores. You have to pay us this amount of money. We're like, we don't have the budget. How are we going to do this? And this is great that we talked to Maestro Busto because Maestro Busto is not just a conductor. He's also a well-known music people, musicians, respected musician in Spain. So he has a lot of connections. So I'm glad we went with him because he became my partner to solve all these problems. He introduced to somebody. Her name is Elena Garcia. She is the grand niece of the composer, Manuel de Falla. And I talked to her about the situation, and she is the director of the Falla Museum in Granada, the house that Falla once lived. And she basically said, let me handle this. So apparently she called the copyright publisher company, whatever. After that, the publisher never contacted us again. This is amazing. I was like, these people with good hearts trying to help Taiwan, help our project, was really moved. Elena, thank you again, Elena. And then the last things we have to worry about is, can he fly to Taiwan during the COVID? And the only airline company that was flying from Madrid to Taiwan was Turkish Airways. So it was through Istanbul and to Taipei. We were just praying that it was no, and all the airlines were canceled. And fortunately, this miracle happened, and he was able to come to Taiwan. And he's a poet. He wrote a poem for Dao because he was so surprised that 50 years ago there was this Taiwanese student coming to Spain. This happened, so he wrote a poem, and he gave this poem to Dao. And he also stopped by Granada, Elena's house, the museum, to pick a piece from the wall as a gift to Taiwan. Says, Faya came to Taiwan together with me. What's cool, guys? This is the coolest person I ever met. And then, so you can see a young generation, a Maestro Busto from Spain, from the older generation in Taiwan. Interesting, isn't it? The Spanish music in Taiwan. And then Maestro Busto told me something very interesting. He said in Spain, in the music conservatory, they don't teach Faya. They teach you Bach, they teach Beethoven, Mozart, but they are not respecting their own culture. So he actually had to, at the music conservatory, he actually had to go outside of the class to learn flamenco, to all these kinds of things. So he was really appreciating Taiwan to do the things that his country is not doing. That's why he told me. That was interesting. And so, like any symphony, the last one is coda. So my coda is this. When I was doing this, just like I'm telling Eric, we have, just like software development, we have to deal with problem after problem. These are just a few examples I share with you tonight. Fire appeared in my dream. Can you believe that? He actually appeared in my dream. So I was thinking, how did this happen? I mean, it's miracle after miracle. I really think Fire maybe watching over from the heaven to make sure his music travel to Asia in a smooth way, because we had so many problems that we almost gave up. So I think I really believe I became more religious, if I would say, after this experience. And then I think technology, maybe we worry about AI, but I think if you use the technology in a humane way, technology didn't really replace the artists here in this story. I think we revived the stage for the artist. And I would like to encourage everyone in this room, you may be already doing this, but support artists, get to know them, not just attending the performance. Don't just watch YouTube, really attend the performance, the live performance. It's strange for a live streaming businessman to say this, but don't watch live streaming. Go to the real concert. You can see their sweat coming up. It's a real person doing something. And then for every performance, imagine there might be a story like this behind, that they work so hard to make this happen in front of you. Mm-hmm. And so with that, that concludes my presentation, Lawrence. I think I'm not